we like to do for you now a tune entitled Shama Lama Ding Dong. So hit it.
If I searched this whole wide world, I never find me a girl who loved me the way that you do. 'Cause you're Shama-Lama, Lama, ding dong, baby. You put the ooh mama into my smile jar. Hey, that is why you are my sugar daddy. You put the Shama-Lama, baby, ding dong. Hey, you put the ooh mama into my smile jar. That is why you are my sugar daddy.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of the Mario Chaos and the Kids Show. I'm your co-host, Mario Mancini. I'm a former WWE wrestler and co-instructor at Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling, along with Paul Roma, Big Steve Tracy, and the man behind the glass tonight and every night, Paul Perez. Seated to the extreme right is the man, is the epitome of having somebody's back, because he certainly always has mine, thank God. He is also scientifically educated in cockology. He is none other than the guardian of chaos, Big Daddy. Big Daddy, how you doing?
Well, Mancini, it's pouring fucking rain
It
outside
is.
right now, but it's better than snow. And I want to start off the Mario Chaos and the Kid podcast on Stitcher, on B+ Player, on iCloud, iSun, Spreaker. I don't give a fuck what we're on. But I'm going to start the podcast off like this. I don't give a fuck. And we'll leave it at that. Seated to the left of me is a man who's busier than a one-legged donkey in an ass-kicking contest. He interns for NBC Sports, ESPN. He owns Open Table Podcast, Open Table Sports. He just signed on with Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful, and he's a big part of the Mario Chaos and the Kid podcast, and that is the featured part of the podcast, the Kid. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great. I love that intro.
You like
my
that?
background, my resume really got me out there.
Well, I did forget to add the most important part of your resume, now that you are of legal age. Fluffer.
I don't think I applied for that job.
Well, let's take a look to the left right now. Turn your head to the left, kid. Look at Mancini.
In all his glory.
He's got a fresh shape up. It looks like he's been hanging out with all those fucking assholes from Gillette. But I will say this, Mancini. You know Gillette, what they did with that commercial, the Gillette razor people. Are you well aware of that, Mancini?
I'm kind of in the dark there, Big Daddy.
Boy, you know what? For a guy who claims to have the fucking memory of an elephant, like Mike Francesa, the NAWA Slam GM 1999, you know what you are, Mancini? Do you know what you are,
I
Mancini?
don't recall you there, Big Daddy.
You are a cocksucker. That's what you are. A cocksucker. And I want to ask this one question before we get on, because we have a lot of news to report. There's a lot of things going on in Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling. We just coming off a huge weekend of free-for-all, Retribution, NXT TakeOver, the Royal Rumble, and fuck the WWE. So I'm going to say this, not Vince McMahon.
Please don't say Vince McMahon.
No, I would never say fuck Vince McMahon. Why would did you ever hear me say that?
Every single week. It's not fuck Vince McMahon. It's fuck the WWE.
It's fuck the product, because I love Vince McMahon.
You know who else you love?
Tell me.
Paul Roma.
Well, Roma, if you're listening, and I know you are, Roma, I did it at Friday Night Alley Fights and at Retribution from across the arena, and I'm doing it now.
Making the heart sign for Roma?
I'm making the heart sign for Roma because I love that man.
You know what's coming up soon, Big Daddy? Where you can express your love?
Tell me.
February 14th, Valentine's Day. You guys can go out.
Well, let's not get... Roma is a family man. He's married to a beautiful lady. He's got a beautiful family. I love Roma as like a man crush, like I love Tom Brady.
I fucking hate Tom Brady.
I do hate Tom Brady because I'm a Dolphins fan. But Mancini, when I say that, you got to respect the man. In your opinion, Mancini, I'm glad we're talking about this because this is a professional wrestling podcast. Who is the greatest NFL quarterback in your opinion? And we don't have to go back to Bart Starr, Johnny Unitas, Joe Namath. I'm talking about the last 25 years.
Phil Simms.
Phil Simms? Paul Perez shouted it out from behind the glass. He said Dan Marino. Now, I can agree with that to an
Only
extent.
because the Dolphins are your favorite team. As I said, Phil Simms, because the Giants are my favorite team.
Because I disagree. Go ahead, kid.
Because Marino's one of the best players of all time to never win a championship.
That's very true.
Well, Phil Simms did.
Well, Phil Simms did, but he was not a better quarterback than Dan Marino. Phil Simms is a winner. Make no mistake about it. What the Trent Dilfer's got a fucking Super Bowl. What does that mean? Trent Dilfer. Do you know who Trent Dilfer is?
Is he a quarterback?
He was a quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Ravens, I think.
I think so. I don't know.
Kid, you are the authority.
He got fired by ESPN, I think. They released him. That shows how good his Super Bowl was.
Did he take his cock out? That's why?
Did he do what, Mancini?
Big Daddy, we
Wait, I forgot to tell the thing I wanted to say.
Oh,
go ahead. No,
you
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm constantly cutting you
ahead.
off. No, I'm done.
No.
Mancini, you didn't answer the question.
Did you hear that, Peppa? What?
Did you just say, did you hear that,
I
Peppa?
didn't say that.
I'm going to go home and she's going to slap the shit out of me because I'm interrupting you. And that's the one part she hates about the podcast more than anything is that I interrupt you. And so now you're going to jump on the train, aren't you? You're unfucking believable, Mancini.
Did you hear that, Peppa?
Peppa, I know you're listening. Mancini now is trying to stir the pot, so to speak. And so with that being said, you didn't answer the question.
Go ahead.
Greatest NFL quarterback, in my opinion, although I'm a huge Marino fan, like you are, Phil Simms. Kid, who's your favorite quarterback?
Favorite quarterback now or of all time?
Just fucking tell me your favorite quarterback.
Joe Montana.
I would say Joe Montana or Steve Young.
Well, two excellent choices, but I'm going to say that to say this, Mancini. In my opinion, and I dislike the man as an NFL player, not as a person. You have your Joe Montanas, your Terry Bradshaws. You have your Troy Aikmans, your Steve Youngs, all champions. But what you don't have is Tom Brady, in my opinion, is the best quarterback to ever play the game. Surprising coming from a Dolphins fan. That's just my opinion. And Phil Simms. Phil Simms? Listen, he's a legend in the city. I get it. You know who I don't like anymore, speaking of Phil Simms? Because they cut me off. Boomer Norman Esiason. You know what? Fuck you, Norman, if you're listening. Although I love you, Boomer. You know I love you. You let me on the show. But he cut me off. He's getting a little thick.
He did cut you off.
He looks like he's been eating some garlic bread.
The Kenny Roberts.
He may be hanging around with the flamboyant one.
The Kenny Roberts and the garlic bread.
You know what I notice about Boomer and Gio in the morning show on FAN? Boomer was always a class guy. His whole career, his whole life. He started hanging out with that fucking degenerate gambler asshole, Craig Carton. Okay? And he brought Boomer down into the sewer, and Boomer has never been the same.
Did Craig Carton go to jail?
Craig Carton is going to jail for leading everybody down the wrong path. Now, Carton's a talented guy. I won't take away his talent. Boomer's a legend. I couldn't carry his fucking jockstrap. He's a large individual. But he turned into a smart-ass, sarcastic asshole. Started bashing Francesa and the Mad Dog as soon as he got around Carton. He really did. And now he's changed. He's a little sarcastic, a little bit of a smart-ass. So you know what? For as much as I respect Boomer Esiason, Norman, if you will, I don't give a fuck. And he knows that. But anyway.
Well, your guys are from what, 10 to 2?
Mike, Evan, and Joe. But I will say this, Mancini, and I want you to make a special plea to Evan Roberts from Evan and Joe, the mid-morning show on WFAN. Evan, who always is great to Paradise Alley.
You know, we invite him to every show. I put him in the front row.
Exactly. He wouldn't come up to the Mohegan Sun Casino.
Listen, he gets invited to every show.
And Evan, who is a monster wrestling fan and has his own podcast.
You think he just come to see Roma?
Exactly. Roma's a legend. And you know what, too? We had a lot of people. Matt Stryker, Bull James, the list, Anthony Green, Richard Holiday. Booker T, absolutely. Christian Casanova, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. How could you not want to come out to a Paradise Alley show and see one of those legends and future stars that Paradise Alley brings? And you know what? He's not following me on Twitter either. And that's right, Mancini, I'm throwing it out there. Fans, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's the Guardian of C1.
I think you have to simplify that a little bit.
Fuck you, kid. The Guardian of C1. Mancini, what? You going to ask me something?
The Guardian of C? The letter C?
the Guardian of the letter C.
Does that stand for chaos? Or does it stand for chaos?
It stands for chaos,
Oh, okay. You know what I felt good about Saturday Night, Big Daddy?
Go ahead.
The Alex came with his friends to the show. My Lord Almighty!
Now, when you say "my Lord Almighty," was that in regards to Alex?
Perez had me digress for a minute.
Matter of pride.
No, it wasn't a matter of pride.
It wasn't a matter of pride?
No, it was just...
They're an excellent group out of the city, you know that.
It was the inception of this whole mess with that female.
Well, the former student of Paradise Alley. Let's not revisit.
Speaking of students,
go ahead.
I want to give a shout-out to Juliana Sabin. She'll be out for a couple of weeks. She's in a boot. She got her foot caught underneath her on a hip toss last night, and she sprained her ankle pretty badly.
I was not aware of that. And I will say Juliana and the Sabin family are salt of the earth people.
You can't find better people than the Sabin family. You know what, though? I talked to Kevin today, her father. And
great man and a damn good play-by-play man.
And he goes, here's the funny of the story. She's in the ER, and she's crying. And the doctor looks at her, and he says, does it hurt that badly that you're crying? And she cries, and she goes, no, I can't train for 2 weeks.
She's a tough son of a bitch.
Let me tell you something.
I'll give you
want
credit
to talk
for
about
that.
hungry? That's hungry. You know what I mean?
Well,
listen, it's you know,
a little something happened.
It's a product of what we do. It's a hazard of the trade. It's not, it's not horseshoes. It's not badminton. We're not playing tag. It's professional wrestling. You know what I mean? And it's tough.
Well, it's very tough. You're 100% right about that.
The only thing I
I'm
feel
living
bad
proof
about
of that,
is my over 30 years of teaching. I have very few injuries from students. You know what I mean? So that kind of bums me out.
Well, that's what, you know why? Because that's what Paradise Alley has that no other organization has, Mancini. We talk about it every week. We put it into every promo at every event. They have 4 former WWE, WWF wrestlers that worked for Vincent Kennedy McMahon. No other organization. Hey, listen.
Thank you, Vince.
There is a lot of organizations out there. There's a lot of training schools. Booker T runs Reality of Wrestling in Texas. Shawn Michaels has his group. There's groups up, Chaotic, up in Massachusetts with Brian Fury and other guys. There's Bully Ray has his school in Danbury. There's a lot of qualified training facilities out there. A lot of them are very good and turning out unbelievable wrestlers. With that being said, they don't have what Paradise Alley has. The experience, the passion, the knowledge of directly 4 men working under Vince McMahon. So that's what Paradise Alley has to offer, and I say it all the time.
True.
Getting back to the Sabin family, what was priceless over the weekend is that we know that Dad, Kevin, great guy, brought into Paradise Alley.
I love Kevin.
He's a great man, good family, great commentator. We said that. He's going to get another shot. Also, Juliana now training a top-notch athlete in the female division. She's really coming a long way.
She's an excellent athlete.
The son now, Juliana's brother, over the weekend, for the very first time, got involved with Paradise Alley, and he is now the ring sweeper for Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling. So the whole Saban family is now a part of the Paradise Alley family. Without a doubt, it was priceless to see the son sweeping the ring. You can't make it up, Mancini.
No, you can't make that up.
Anyway, we have a lot to report here. The chicanery's over. Let's get on to some professional wrestling. Mancini, we had an unbelievable, tremendous weekend for Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling. Free-for-all on Friday night was a monster success. The place was standing room only. The kid
really
was here.
was.
It really, Mancini, this place, you couldn't move in this facility, this training facility this past Friday night for free-for-all, which was our fan appreciation day, except at night. So, kid, you were in attendance. Break down the atmosphere, the crowd. We're going to run down the results. Break it down.
I think that might have been the first public appearance by the three of us.
That could have been one of the first public appearances together, Mancini. He's right about that. Because you were supposed to get us out to StarCast, too. How's that working out, Mancini?
How's that working?
How's our booking reservations through X-Pac and everybody else that I tried to tweet? And what's our man's name? Bruce Pritchard, Conrad Thompson. How's it working out? Did you book our flights and our hotel for Perez, myself, and the kid?
You were booked for the bathroom.
I'm working on it.
StarCast 2. It's in Las Vegas in March. For Double or Nothing with AEW. March.
What day in March?
I don't know. Why? What's so important about March?
My birthday.
You're going to be 21.
20.
17.
19.
21.
19.
Why don't we take the kid out to Vegas? Maybe we'll go to the Bunny Ranch while we're out there.
What's at the Bunny Ranch, Big Daddy?
A lot of bunnies.
Oh.
Enlighten us.
I'm just saying. Listen, let's not get off the track here. Let's get to Friday.
Yeah, let's get to pro wrestling.
You are correct. That could have been our first official public appearance. But fans, we are available for bookings. We are on the road, a la Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. Get in touch with Mancini. You could email him, you could text him, you could call him. You can't fucking Twitter him or tweet him because he does not like Twitter. He likes twatter.
Twatter, yes, twatter.
Big Daddy, did you ever listen to Manfred Mann's 1977 Blinded by the Light?
I have. Speaking of that, Mancini, how's that classic car karaoke going for you?
You know, Big Daddy, I sent you how many videos? A ton.
A lot, Mancini.
All right, so
a lot.
It was only recently. That song came out when I was 11 years old.
Well, break it down.
It was only recently where, in today's technology, that I went on YouTube and put in Blinded by the Light lyrics. Because
Blinded by
if
the
you
light.
listen to that song, it's very hard to make out some of the words they're saying. So,
where you going with this, Mancini?
well, you see, the thing about it is, the part where it says,
awkward
little
silence.
Curly Whirly came by with his whirly birdie and asked me if I needed a ride.
What does that mean to you?
Well, recently, it meant that he came by with his helicopter to give him a ride. But if you listen to the song without looking at the lyrics, it sounds like little Curly Whirly gave my anus curly whirly.
So you're talking about pubic hairs right now, Mancini?
Little early birdie gave my anus curly whirly and asked me if I needed a ride.
Speaking of anus, have you bleached your asshole anytime in the last few years?
Big Daddy, I'll tell you what I did.
Tell me.
I manscaped to a Kojak.
What are you trying to say? Who loves you, baby?
I manscaped to a Kojak.
Wow. So what you're saying is not only are you bald, but you're bald.
Completely.
So now, Mancini, you have balding alopecia down there also, Mancini. Is that what you're saying?
Let me tell you something. I got abused Saturday night by Big Steve Big Steve, when I'm ripping tickets for fans, he comes behind me and he takes a picture of the top of my head, which my bald spot looks like, and
it looks like an old lady's douchebag.
Right. Not only that, he criticized my haircut and he told me that the back of my head was layered as such as it looked like a set of blinds.
Listen, Big Steve Tracy is nobody to be trifled with. Speaking of that, you see what I'm wearing tonight, Mancini.
Diadamo and Tracy Bell Bonds, your sweatshirt.
And
your
why
coat,
is that?
Because this show is brought to you by the Diadamo and Tracy Bell Bonds, East Haven, Connecticut.
Fuck East Haven, Connecticut, Mancini. That's what I have to say about fucking East Haven, Connecticut. Staven. Fuck East Haven,
Well,
Connecticut.
I have to say something.
A lot of good people here, Mancini, but fuck East Haven.
Listen, I have to say this, Big Daddy. And we'll get on to professional wrestling, but I do have to
Sooner or later.
I have to get this off my chest.
Get it off your chest, Mancini.
Take it off.
Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling started in 2014.
I believe 2014 is the official date.
2014. So, me, Big Steve, Roma, Perez. Because once Perez knew a ring was up, he just came.
He gravitated to it.
He gravitated right to it. It was a chance. The premise of Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling was a wrestling school and a chance for four people that have known each other over 30 years to spend some time together. Because we had so many laughs.
Great concept.
And we could reminisce and we could continue a lifelong friendship. And we started getting students. And then we started getting more students. And over the course of that year and in some of 2015, they started getting ripe. So we said, you want to run a wrestling show?
Well, who would know more about running a facility or a wrestling show than the Paradise Four?
Well,
so go ahead.
So, admittedly, the first wrestling show we ran was a straight show. And we came into the wrestling school like we always do, and Dave Olson in 2015, Dave Olson was here.
Super Dave Olson.
And I can't give anybody else credit but Dave Olson. And he said, tragedy about Michael D'Angelo.
Yes. Yes, it was.
And he said, there's a Michael J. D'Angelo Sports Scholarship Fund. We should run a show. That was our first charity show where we gave 100% of the portion of the proceeds to the charity. Thereafter, my phone started ringing off the hook. And I just want to say that Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling pays their bills. The lights that are on in this building right now and the heat that's going through this building and the rent through tuitions. Students joining the school. That's how we pay our bills. All of the wrestling shows that we run are for charity.
Well, it's a charity-driven facility here.
Right. It's a charity-driven company. So we've done shows for, and help me out, guys, because, I do have a great memory, but I might skip
No, you
one.
don't. You don't.
I don't remember you there, Big Daddy.
1999.
You know what, Mancini? You are a cocksucker.
I told you it applies to people that could be, So
I sent you the video, Mancini.
you did, Big Daddy. So
Well, vindicate me right now.
well, you were there, Big Daddy. You were a huge
you
part
just
of that
don't
show.
fucking remember it.
So
go ahead.
we've done shows for the Michael J. D'Angelo Sports Scholarship Fund. That particular charity and the money procured from Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling has put a $10,000 scoreboard
Well, and
up
I'm not,
on the East Haven High.
correct. You're accurate about that. And This is what I would like to stress too. And Paul Perez shouted out a couple of things, and I'm going to let you talk because people want to hear you talk because you're eloquent. Look at the thousands of dollars that were donated and raised by Paradise Alley for the ASRC, Autism in Wallingford, Connecticut.
Right.
Thousands of dollars, and I'm not talking about 1,000 or two. I'm talking about damn near $10,000 for the two shows combined.
Yeah.
Okay, between donations and what we raised.
Yeah.
Okay, what Paradise Alley raised.
For autism. Mission 22.
Correct.
The prevention of our war veterans committing suicide, because it's reported that every 22 minutes a veteran commits suicide. Camp Rising Sun.
Very, very near and dear to Paradise Alley. Camp
Children,
Rising. Never give up.
Right. Children with cancer. Right down to the East Haven Branford animal shelters that split the profit from those gates. The Melillo, Joseph A. Melillo Glee Club.
The youth hockey program of the town. I mean, the list goes on and on.
The next show is for the youth hockey of East Haven. So we did one for juvenile diabetes. We donated the money to that.
Team CC. Great people.
Right.
Team CC.
Right. So when they come to the show, the charity, and the same thing with the LGBTQ community when we do a charity for them.
Judgment free.
There's a table outside in the hallway. I sit there and I rip tickets. When there's a charity there, the patrons, the fans, if you will, give the money to the person, the representative from the charity. I rip the tickets. They take the money. Now, bell time 7 o'clock. I wait until about 7:40. And then we start counting the money. And they count the money, whether it be $1,800, $2,000, $2,200, $2,500. And they look at me and go, well, what? I go, that's yours.
Oh, absolutely.
And they go, what about you? And I go, well, we got to hope we sell enough pizza, hot dogs, popcorn, and water to pay the boys.
Just to pay the talent.
Pay the talent.
See, that's another thing too, Mancini, and you can verify this, and I don't want to put out the financial issues of Paradise Alley professional wrestling. But tell the fans and the people out there, hey, listen, fans, remember this is a work. Remember these are characters. Remember what we're doing here, and let's not blur the lines and confuse everything here with reality and what we're really doing here. But tell the fans out there how much money or lack thereof, without getting into dollar figures, that Paradise Alley operates in the what, Mancini, at every show?
In the negative.
Okay. And the boys and the talent who risk their lives
Yeah.
barely get paid, and I don't give a fuck who hears it, who listens to this, what other company, what other organization. This isn't other organizations that run in the greater Northeast New England area that have, and listen, nothing against
Big
them.
Daddy, I'll tell people how much they get paid. They get paid as much money to fill up a Toyota Prius.
A nominal fee.
Oh, yeah. That's what the wrestlers get paid.
Lucky to get travel expenses.
Right.
Lucky.
So we come in here with our heads held high, knowing that we give back to charities, we give back to the community. In East Haven, we went to the Raging Firefighters, and we put the ring in the parking lot.
And that was for the Children's Burns Victims Unit. That's
right.
That's what people can't lose sight of. Listen,
Right.
put all this chicanery,
Right.
the kids' word chicanery,
Right.
and what we do here, the X-ratedness, the explicitness, and get to the bare bones.
You
of
know,
this company.
even the town of East Haven, before Dieselmania, when we did it at the high school, they had the picnic. And they asked us to put the ring up and do some matches for the picnic.
For the community.
For the community. We did that. You know, I live in East Haven. The law firm.
God bless you.
The law firm I've been at for 24 years is in East Haven. And Paradise Alley is in East Haven. I'm really fond of this town. I'm very comfortable here.
Well, listen, it is a great town. It gets a bad rap in the media. I lived in this town for 20 years. A lot of my family lived in this town for years. It is a great town, but they get a bad rap. That's for sure, Mancini.
Well, I just think right now it's under a lot of stress and a lot of scrutiny, and you know,
the FBI is here in town.
They're starting to go over it with a fine-tooth comb. They're starting to go out over it with a fine-tooth comb. Now, I'm not going to go into details.
We don't have to.
The only statement I want to make is, I don't want to walk around the town of East Haven saying to myself every day, no good deed goes unpunished. No good deed goes unpunished. And listen, I understand there's bills to pay and people to pay and a town to support, and there's rules and regulations.
And a chain of command, correct.
Listen, I've graduated from law school. I've passed the bar exam. I know what rules, regulations, statutes. I know.
Considering that you violated every fucking one of them, you should know, Mancini. And fuck the FCC.
I know all about that stuff, and I understand it. But, we have our little corner of the universe here where anybody could walk through this door and say, hey, can you help us? And we say, sure, we can. We'll help you. You know what I mean?
It's a true statement.
Listen, it could be anything. It could, listen, shame on me. My own sister's in a wheelchair with MS. I've never run a show for multiple sclerosis, and my sister has it. I've never run it. I've never looked at this company and said, listen, my sister's in a wheelchair. We need to run a show for MS and donate all the money. I've never done that because I run this business. I'm in charge of the business of Paradise Alley. And Roma and our phones ring all the time. Hey, Roma will call me. Hey, somebody called me. They want to run a show. Nicky Vesicchio, we're running a show for him.
A great family, the Vesicchio family. Now, Nick, who is a resident here in town, a young man who goes to the high school here in town. Great family. An unfortunate accident while he was out doing lawn maintenance for his house where a tree had fallen on this young man, an individual, and he's lucky to be alive, but he's fighting, he's surviving, he's a tough kid, a tough family, and it couldn't be a greater cause for Nick Vesicchio.
I'm just saying, Big Daddy, it'd be a different story if, we were making $3,000-$4,000 a show. And we went, oh, damn, we got away with it as long as we could, and it's not the case. I've left Joseph A. Malillo with $33.
Well, I was just going to say that. You're talking $3,000 or $4,000. I've never heard you say you've made more than $30 or $40.
Yeah, I've left Malillo with $33. I go, hey, listen, I've left with $12. I've been in the corner with Big Steve and I in our pockets going, how much money do you have? We got to kick it in to pay these guys. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I don't want to walk around saying no good deed goes unpunished. And I just hope everything gets worked out. And
it comes down to communication, Mancini. There's a lot of politics involved,
and
brother.
I'll take the fault. I'll take the fault for the last show. I'll take the rap for that. I don't have. Steve thinks I have a problem doing that. I don't. It's just that, for God's sake, could somebody watch our back? You know what I mean?
Well, Mancini, this is a tough business. We're in a tough town. We're in a political climate. When I said the FBI before, the kid's new job is a female boob inspector. That's what he's talking about. But I'm serious when I say that.
Kid. You flashing that on your phone there.
Mancini, I'm serious about that. The FBI's been in this town for years, and they are currently looking into the high school. I don't give a fuck who knows about it. I don't give a fuck who knows about anything. It's well documented. It's well written. The bottom line is here, like you said, Paradise Alley, basically, without being that, is basically running at a zero balance in a nonprofit organization. Without having the label of a nonprofit, it's a charitable organization.
Absolutely.
But I'm glad you addressed that, Mancini, because there always seems to be something going on.
The other thing we need to address, I think it's important, is, and I might let the kid take the floor on this one.
Oh, what's that?
Big Jym's clothesline.
Unbelievable. That leads me to the point of Friday Night Alley fights and Retribution.
That kid got murdered.
Listen, let's not get ahead of ourselves because that was on Saturday night.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the WWE report rate.
No. Fuck the WWE, Mancini. What are you talking about? We didn't get to Paradise Alley yet.
Vince, I did not
Mario,
say that.
I didn't say fuck Vince McMahon. I never said that.
Say that.
Kid, did you hear me say that?
I said it before.
You know, Big Daddy, one day I would like to be one of the few jobbers that are inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. One day.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because you have earned it. And the modern day Mario Mancini, because he's on a 270 match winless streak until he just recently won, and he's a hell of an athlete and a great talent, and he's running with this gimmick in the WWE. And I liken him to you, a modern day Mario Mancini, and I posted it on Twitter. Kurt Hawkins. Kurt Hawkins is an unbelievable talent, and they're running with this gimmick. Opposite of Goldberg, who won all the consecutive matches, Kurt Hawkins has lost all these consecutive matches, and he's one hell of a worker and one hell of a talent. Modern day Mario Mancini.
I'll never forget Howard Finkel's idea, and with all the ideas that they went with him, who happens to be the person who originated the name WrestleMania, Howard Finkel. He created WrestleMania. Him being a flower child from the 60s, he thought of Beatlemania, and he said, hey, WrestleMania, and they went with it. They didn't know what to name this event. He said, I think it would be amazing, while everybody kind of knows that a superstar goes out against a jobber. It's a no-brainer when they watch it on TV, who's going to win the match. I think it would be amazing out of the clear blue sky that a jobber just wraps a top guy out of the clear blue sky in like a small package for a 3 count. I think that should really shake things up.
Well, that would shake things up, and you do deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. As for what you did, Mancini, and I'm not saying this to kiss your ass, blow smoke up in your ass. I tell it like it is. You know that.
I do.
Kid, I said kid.
Yeah.
You were one of the best that ever did it in your era. There's no mistaking about it for what you did.
Kid, did you hear that? I was one of the best losers.
There's a lot to be said for that. You were in the top 10.
The best of the worst.
Top 10 jobbers in the WWF, WWE.
Listen, the WWE Encyclopedia, if I might say it. And you know what? I don't like talking about myself like this, but it did say I was one of the most resilient wrestlers in pro wrestling history.
Resilient.
You were. Resilient.
Mancini, you were like the Energizer Bunny.
All Night Mancini.
Well,
either that or is the most ignorant, hard-headed son of a bitch you ever wanted to meet.
Paul Perez is giving us the double thumbs up on that.
Dummy that just kept coming back for more.
Well, Mancini, I will say one thing. You had testicular fortitude like nobody's business, my friend. And I want to address this for a quick second. You did say small package, Mancini. You did say small package.
Listen, I was talking about the move, although that kind of does pertain to me also.
Well, you're like Howard Stern.
Small package. That goes back to Mohegan.
Zachariah Gibbs pinned you at all.
He got lucky!
He didn't get lucky!
He got lucky! He is a snap-nosed kid! He got lucky! I wasn't paying attention!
Zachariah Gibbs, the current Paradise Alley
snot-nosed kid.
He pinned you, man.
And who did he beat this weekend?
I think he beat himself. But let's get on to Friday Night Alley fights. Can we get on to Friday night? Perez is ready to slap the shit out of. Listen, almost every week Perez threatens me with the pirouette elbow. Friday Night Alley fights, free for all. We're gonna run it down quickly because it led to Retribution. Kid, the first thing I want to bring up is the tag team champions Hakeem Ali, Nick Payne. The House of Pain went up against Zafir Al-Rahihi, Maxim Morozov, collusion at Free For All.
They had a little controversy towards the end, which obviously led to their match at Retribution. But that match that night, they've had some history, so they know each other a lot. So not much offense was there that night because if you face someone a lot, you know what's coming next.
Well, collusion pushed around the House of Pain. Make no mistake about it.
They did.
And then Sergeant Murray intervened because this match ended up in a disqualification. The House of Pain got disqualified. Collusion went over. Obviously, the belts don't change. But I want to ask the front office, Mancini. I want to ask you, why is the United States Heavyweight Champion Sergeant Murray coming out at Friday Night Alley fights and interfering in the House of Pain Tag Team Championship against Collusion? Could you please tell me why?
He can't mind his own business.
He can't mind his own business. What business did he have it out there? I realize he's got a large noggin. That's why he's United States champion.
Mancini's got a handful of nuts over here.
He can't mind his own business.
He can't mind his own business.
No.
Kid, he didn't get the handful of nuts.
He didn't get the handful of nuts.
So now, Sergeant Mancini, you couldn't do that again. Fans, what Mancini just did right here is he threw one of his nuts about 30 feet into a trash can, and it was a Swiss a la Seth Curry of the Golden State Warriors.
Seth Curry. Seth Curry is his brother.
Steph Curry. You know me. What does Bully Ray say to me in the past?
You get 5 spots, you fuck up
I'll
4.
fuck up 4 of them. I do that all the time here, Mancini. That was tremendous, Mancini. You'll never try it again, Mancini.
He can't throw his nuts like that again even if he tried.
You can grab your nuts like that, but you can't throw them.
I probably couldn't make that shot again.
That was unbelievable. Speaking of shots, we're going to go to the old money shot here at the Diadamo and Tracy Bail Bonds studio here at the Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Training Facility. The Open Table Sports Podcast is here in representation. We have a partial part of the Cream Team is here in attendance, and that would be Mason. He's a strong part. He is the, let's say the stir, wait, the coffee, the stir, how the fuck do you say that? The coffee that stirs the drink. What did he say, man? What's that expression? The Cream Team. He's the straw.
That stirs the drink.
Why couldn't you fucking help me out on that, Mancini?
Well, you know where that comes from?
Tell him, Darryl Strawberry.
No.
The New York Mets, 86 Mets.
Wrong.
The story of my life. Go ahead, tell me where.
That started the rival against Thurman Munson and Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson.
When Reggie Jackson gave an interview before he went to the Yankees, when he got traded, before he got there, and he said, I'm the straw that stirs the drink.
I remember that, Mancini.
They say Thurman Munson is, but he could only stir it bad. And they said to Munson, maybe they just misquoted him. And Munson said, for 5 pages.
Thurman Munson was a legend. I remember that,
He's
Mancini.
my guy.
Well, as you wear your New York Yankees championship jacket.
Thurman Munson and Michael Bolton.
Thurman Munson, fuck Michael Bolton.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Wait, let me
Whoa,
hear.
whoa, 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 whoa! You can't
Michael,
say that
are you
about...
listening? Bolton, I've been tweeting you cocksucker, and you haven't answered me one time, Bolton.
Listen, I don't blame you for being upset about that. I mean, listen.
I didn't mean to say that to Michael Bolton. I love Michael Bolton.
That disappoints me because I consider him the greatest artist.
Listen, make no mistake about him. Bolton is amazing, but can we get off this? Can we get back to Friday Night Alley fights, Mancini?
What about Mason? You introduced the guy.
Mason, oh, God bless you. Mason is a part of the Cream Team. That's all I wanted to say. He's Angelo, Anjanette, BJ, LJ,
Antonio,
fucking Antonio,
Mark,
all these different.
Dominic.
Anjanette, there'll be 500 people there.
Yeah, you know what? It's coming up in March. There'll be 1,000 people there. You mark my words.
Anjanette Wars.
Friday Night Alley fights, Mancini. Back to Paradise Alley and professional wrestling. So the Sarge interfered. I'm not quite sure why. Mancini had no answers. He can't mind his own business is what he came up with. The House of Pain got disqualified, which, like the kids said, led to Retribution. Also, picture-perfect Tyler Jones lost to MIT, Mr. Intellectual Tavius, one of Roma's prodigies. Perez is over here adjusting my microphone because, once again, I can't seem to get it right here.
Fucked up again.
I fucked up again.
Some sriracha on
That was your second spot.
It's my second spot. So we'll see. So you got sriracha, Mancini?
I think sriracha almonds.
So, I thought you
my
had
nuts.
Spicy nuts.
My nuts on the
Spicy
microphone.
nuts.
I think I got my spicy nuts.
What do you think, Perez? What are you going to come up with for episode 12 of Mario Chaos and the
Spicy
Kid?
nuts on the microphone.
Spicy nuts, because things have been all over. We haven't talked about anything. We really haven't addressed too much. We haven't. So it's going to be interesting to see what producer extraordinaire Perez comes up with for the title of episode 12.
I don't want to overstep my boundaries here, Big Daddy. You know what I mean? I don't want to get you pissed off.
Well, speaking of pissed off, I got to ask you that here because we're in week 12. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Mancini, because I'm going to start off with producer extraordinaire. I dare to say he can kick anybody's ass, any producer on any podcast in this fucking country. Perez, I'm coming to you if you can hear me behind the glass. Pissed off or pissed. I didn't even get it out of my mouth. Mancini, that wasn't right. I didn't even get it out of my mouth.
Big Daddy, what I'm happy about.
Perez said pissed on. He didn't even give me a chance to finish
What I'm
it.
happy about is the kid is here, and he's not in his normal environment.
Well, usually the kid is in Bangkok. He's usually in Bangkok, and I saw that he posted a bunch of pictures on Facebook. And do you think Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful has ever been to Bangkok?
I don't think we're friends on Facebook, so he might have seen my pictures from Bangkok.
Now, when you were in Bangkok, did you get I ask you this every week. How many rub and tugs? Because Mancini is the king of the rub and tug. He does it to himself. Mancini does the rub and tug to himself. There's nothing better. He pours a little Jack Daniels in his right palm, puts
a little more spice on it.
So tell me, kid, you didn't finish the Bangkok story.
Daniels, wouldn't that burn?
You tell me. It's your story.
You said that. I never.
We were talking about Bangkok. That's what we were talking about. Actually, we were talking about Friday Night Alley Fights. Perez, how do we always end up in Bangkok?
We should schedule a show in Bangkok.
Do you think they would book us in Bangkok to do a live Mario Chaos and the Kid podcast?
It is possible.
Because you know who was over in Bangkok? He's a legend in Bangkok.
Me?
Classy Freddie Blassie.
So there's another legend in Bangkok besides me?
There's a lot of people.
Freddie's passed away.
I know that, but he was a legend in Bangkok. They almost killed him. What the fuck was that, Mancini? That came down from the bottom of your balls. As I sit here, I look at Mancini, who's the proverbial old guinea bastard. Mancini, did you ever look at the size of his fucking grapefruits. That motherfucker bent over in front of me and they dropped. And they looked like a pair of grapefruits. Now, when in the summertime, Mancini, when you wear shorts in the summertime, do you sit on a flat wooden bench? And if you do, have you ever sat on your ball sack?
They come out of the shorts.
Have you ever?
Big Daddy, this is classic karma. This is classic karma. When I was the kid's age, my buddy and I, Dave, in our travels, we'd see a guy my age.
Sal Casa?
No, we'd see a guy let's say teenagers. The custodians at school were like 60, 58, right? They'd wear those green pants and that tan T-shirt every day. And they're always picking stuff up because kids are always and they'd bend over to pick stuff up, and those things were about an inch from the ground. And I'd always say to Dave, I'd go, I'd like a fucking slingshot right now. I like this slingshot. I'm right.
Well, Mancini, that's a funny story, but
so now, Big Daddy,
go ahead, continue the story.
The karma, Peppa. The karma
Did
is.
You say Peppa?
The karma
She's not even fucking listening.
Big Daddy, the karma is this. Now I bend over to pick something up, and the other kids are asking for a slingshot.
Mancini, you have large balls. And you know what? And it's on Twitter, folks. Go to my media section on the Guardian of C1. I always wanted to be a juggler, Mancini. I just didn't have the balls for it. Like you could be like 10 fucking jugglers with those things.
Big Daddy, it's like 2 grapefruits and a Tic Tac.
So, but ask me, but with the size of your penis, do you piss on your balls when you go to the bathroom? Roma, I know you're listening, Roma, and right now you want to kick our fucking ass. I know it, poor Roma, you're listening. Listen. And we're going to get back to Friday Night Alley Fights because we have to get on to Retribution, but we're going to wrap up Bangkok. And the kid brought this to my attention. Girls in Bangkok are a lot like a box of chocolates, Mancini.
How's that, Big Daddy?
Well, you never know which one has nuts.
Oh!
Now, if you remember The Hangover 2, the character Stu, he ended up having sex with a transgender, which there's nothing wrong with that. And they said to break it down. He said, oh, she went in my bum. He said, oh, no, Stu. It was a guy. He said, oh, I come on you. You come on the floor. He goes, what do you think when you come to Bangkok? And he took off his robe. It was a woman, and he had the thing there, Mancini. Oh. So that's where they come up with the term. She goes, that's why, or he goes, that's why they call it Bangkok. So anyway, let's get off the Bangkok here. Kid, do you think Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful Network has ever been to Bangkok? I already asked that.
Probably, Big Daddy, I have to guess that we're probably around 50 minutes in.
50? 51 fucking minutes, and we didn't go down anything. Let's run through it quick.
We didn't go over one forearm smash.
No, but go to Twitter. Big Jym Anderson made his return at Retribution at the Holidays Inn with the most marketable man.
It was sickening.
It was sickening. It's going viral, Mancini, and not what you have with the penicillin. I get it. It's going viral. Big Jym Anderson nearly took the head off of one of the fans who came out from behind the popcorn stand. I don't know who he was. He was in great shape, whoever he was. He antagonized Holiday. And then he tried to bitch slap Big Jym Anderson. What happened from there, kid? Break it down.
Which kid? You called him kid earlier, and now you're calling me kid. So who's the kid?
Are you trying to put me in my place as Mancini is petting the purple helmet? This show has been completely fucked. You know that, right? We are completely fucked on episode 12 of Mario Chaos and the Kid. All right.
Big Daddy, do you remember Marilyn Chambers?
Do you remember
behind the
Perez?
green door.
You know what? Perez is a connoisseur of the gash, I'm starting to think.
Behind the green door.
The green door. Kid, Google it when you get home. You won't make it through the first 3 minutes. I don't think I did. I know that for sure. Anyway, Mancini, you're trying to keep me off the rails here and not talk about Paradise Alley.
Go ahead, go.
All right. Here we go. Picture perfect Tyler Jones lost to Mr. Intellectual Tavius. Tavius looks great. King Nutrius X and Showtime Marcel Williams defeated two champions of Paradise Alley, Sergeant Murray and Zachariah Gibbs. Showtime drops that elbow off the top rope a la the Macho Man. It doesn't get any better than that. Kid, break that one down quickly.
I was looking forward to that match. You know, it got a little bit screwy with Collusion taking out Sergeant Murray in the beginning of the match, so Gibbs had to do most of the work. Sergeant Murray came in a little bit too late, but Marcel and X, they took that match. But the next night, Gibbs and Sarge, I guess you could say, had their way with both of them. Not in the way you might think had their way, but in the ring
that's
they did.
Back to the prison days. Let's focus on Paradise Alley professional wrestling.
You're one to say that.
What did I do? Let's get on to the
We've been talking about Bangkok for 10 minutes.
Well, because you were in Bangkok. How is that my fault?
Because you brought it up.
Triple threat match at Friday Night Alley Fights Free for All. Bobby Orlando, Elijah Six, and another rookie prodigy stud, Flash Waller, who looked tremendous. Bobby Orlando pinned Elijah Six while Waller was on the outside of the ring. He was on Queer Street, and it is what it is. Let's lead it up to Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling the very next night. Retribution. To open up Retribution, it was a tremendous event, Mancini. The two rookies, Roma prodigies, Roma trained, Flash Waller, high risk, fast paced, defeated MIT. Break it down, kid.
I said to both of them after the match that they really set the tone for the night. That really started the night off on a good, pace. They was booked really well. Everything was great about the night. They really surprised me. It was really good in-ring match.
Well, that is, as Mancini has said several times, that is the future of Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling. Unbelievable. I think they put on a solid match, Mancini. Did you see the opening bout, Mancini, with MIT and Flash Waller? Two of your students?
Although I was out at the ticket table, I did look to the left every now and then.
Oh, and break down two men that you trained that are now in their early part of their professional career.
I personally think that Waller is going to be a superstar.
Flash is unbelievable. He really is.
On the other end of the spectrum,
MIT
might need a little more seasoning.
Well, they all need a little more seasoning, Mancini. But let me tell you something.
He might need a trip to Bangkok.
Well, because
Bangkok, is that like going to see Brian Costello down in Indiana? Is Bangkok familiar with Brian Costello?
I would have never pulled the legend, my good friend.
He's a great guy.
WWE, WCW, All Japan pro wrestler Brian Costello out of Bangkok.
Well, the reason why I
would have
pulled
never did that.
Well, I pulled it out of Bangkok
Now, if you
because
said-
I'm thinking you could take the rookies down to the Indiana next summer.
If you said Boobalicious, I would have pulled Costello's name out immediately.
Well, break that down. I'm not familiar with that. When I said Bangkok, I was referring to the young grapplers. So tell me about
I don't
Boobalicious.
know who's going to Indiana. I don't know if I'm going to Indiana. I have no idea who's going to Indiana because only Brian Costello.
Well, if you remember correctly, last year's trip to Indiana, you were a miserable cocksucker.
Last year's trip, I'm going to tell you why, Big Daddy. And I was very rude and very disrespectful to my brother. Which
who the fuck is that?
To this day, I still feel bad about it. That would be you, Big Daddy.
Nah, it was water under the bridge.
Now, Perez,
you were crazy to everybody.
You will appreciate this along with Perez.
Well,
everyone.
I appreciate that.
Everyone, including Roma, fell asleep in the car.
Wow.
Everyone fell asleep in the car. So you know what that means? And these guys got a good 2-3 hours in, and that's really big on the road when you can get that kind of sleep in.
Well, it's almost impossible.
Right. So I was up. I was the only one watching the driver. Okay? I couldn't sleep. So I was literally, you got to remember something. We leave at 10 o'clock in the morning, at night. We leave at 10 o'clock at night.
God bless you.
We arrive in Indiana at 11 o'clock in the morning. So I was up the entire time because everybody else fell asleep. Now, let me, I can't remember who was driving.
You were awake and you don't remember who was driving?
I don't remember
what kind of
who
trip
was driving.
Was
I don't remember who was driving, but it might have been MIT. But here's the list that I don't want to make.
Oh, boy.
And after I make the list, Big Daddy, I want you to tell the fans what all these people have in common.
Okay.
Here's the list. Adrian Adonis.
I know where this is going. Keep going, Mancini.
Joey Morella. The Junkyard Dog.
All legends who were unfortunately killed in tragic car accidents on the road.
Do you know why? They were all passengers in the car. They fell asleep. The driver fell asleep.
That's a point well taken, Mancini.
So somebody has to be up when you're driving at 4 o'clock in the morning. So
to assist the driver.
So I get in. Now I'm a bitch to everybody. I said, we get into the fucking town. We get into the fucking hotel. Let me out of this motherfucker. So we walk up to the front desk and Roma goes, I know we're early. Are any rooms ready? And the front desk person goes, 1. He goes, give it to him. So I go up to the room. It's a little after 11. I rip my clothes off. I crash. 10 minutes later, I hear a ding, a text.
Who was that, Mancini?
I roll over, and it's Holiday. Hey, how's the trip? I text back to Holiday, you cocksucker. You've made this trip before, and if you fucking know, I just went to fucking bed, you motherfucker. And I went to sleep. For some reason, and now Big Daddy had called me. For some reason, I woke up an hour later, still absolutely exhausted, but I was starving. I was starving.
Did you have any Vaseline in your asshole?
I didn't. I was starving. So now I fix my bed head, and I throw on some clothes and some flip-flops, and I walk across the street to a sub shop. My eyebrows are knitted. I'm exhausted. But for some reason, I'm fucking starving. So I order a sub, and I sit down growling to eat the sub. Now, what possessed me to say, I think this is a good time to call Big Daddy back? I have no idea. It wasn't. So now I call Big Daddy, and I'm talking to Big Daddy, and he's talking to me about something, and I'm going, and he's going, and I go, I go, you know what? You won't let me get a fucking word edgewise, and I hung up.
Well, that's what the character is, the Guardian of Chaos.
And I pounded the sub down. I went back to the room. I went to sleep, and I must have woke up at about 4:45. Got showered and went to the shot and worked with Williams.
Showtime.
With Showtime. But let me tell you something. The ride down is at 52 years old is brutal.
Are you telling me, Mancini, that Peppa's right? That I'm always fucking interrupting you?
No, you didn't interrupt me. I just couldn't. Listen, I hung up on my own girlfriend tonight. I said, you know what? You won't let me talk, and when I do, you don't hear what I'm saying. I just dumped her.
Well, I won't let you talk, but I do hear what you say.
Yeah, I know you do, Big Daddy. You take it in quite well.
Oh. Whoa, Mancini! It was only once. I was wearing it. Wait, not me. I wasn't wearing it.
Kid, what he's not telling you is when that happened, we were in
Bangkok. How do we keep getting back to
Bangkok?
The kid, don't look at me. I didn't start. Wait, I did start this.
You did start.
Let's get back up. Listen, we're coming up on an hour. We're probably over an hour. We have to finish up the results of Retribution. Fuck AEW news. Fuck WWE news. Fuck the Royal Rumble, NXT TakeOver. The kid will address it on Open Table Sports or on Twitter or someplace else. Or
the WWE podcast.
WWE podcast is a great podcast. And fans, it's must-listen WWE podcast. The kid had a chance to do the podcast. He was tremendous on there. So, the kid is doing big things. I want to finish up Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Retribution results so we can get out of here. And one quick report on the 1-year anniversary. Pyramids of Power, Aladdin lost to the flamboyant one, Kenny Roberts. The IC champ, Zachariah Gibbs, in one hellacious match, defeated Nutrius X in a beard match. But Mancini can attest to this, kid. You can too. Nutrius X went off the fucking chain after that match.
Gibbs won the match, but he wasn't the last one standing.
Oh, there's no two ways about that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pure chaos, no pun intended. X leveled Gibbs with a chair. He attacked him outside. He tried to cut the beard off. He got it partially. All the Paradise Alley refs, from Gina to Slick Willie Thompson to El Gallo Tres Huevos to Jay Mendez, and then throwing Eric the ref, he was there too. They couldn't even break up Nutrius X. He was like a crazed dog, to quote Lawrence Taylor. Break that down quickly.
Well, X took out the refs as well. You got out of there pretty quick.
Well, I got out of there quick. I saw everybody coming in. I had to go over there and help Billy Thompson up.
You always run away when people are coming in anyway. So,
was that a shot, kid? What the fuck was that?
It's all right, Big Daddy.
Oof.
Oh, that's all right. I could take it.
Oof.
I could take it.
Oh, see?
All right, let's get on to things. Listen, Nutrius X has been on a roll lately. I don't know what's going on with him. Ty Shine with his man, defeated Ala Ding Ding with Abdul Haq. Shama
Lama, Rama, ding dong. Hey, you put the back into my something.
That is why Bangkok. That is why Bangkok. That is why Shoo-ba-doo-doo. Bangkok. Oh boy! And here's the big news: House of Pain lost the Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Tag Team Championships after holding them for well over a year in the rematch from Friday Night Alley Fights against Collusion. Break that one down, kid.
Well, Collusion won that in a not so good fashion. They kind of took advantage of the no disqualification rules, which obviously you're supposed to do in that type of match.
That was a no DQ match, and everything and everybody got involved.
And then again, we saw Sergeant Murray get involved again, and then the Pyramids of Power got involved.
Well, Mancini, I'm a kid. I'm going to cut you off because that's what I do. Mancini, why the fuck is Sergeant Murray getting involved in everybody's shit?
Because he doesn't mind his own business.
Why doesn't he mind his own business? Listen, he's a large man.
Listen, I think when it comes to Sarge, you had a Russian in there, and you had an Iranian in there. Oh.
So you're saying they had Putin and al-Shabaab?
I think because Sarge is a legitimate war veteran.
He is a legitimate badass.
I think he goes in there, when they start waving their flags. If you don't wave anything but an American flag in that ring, Sarge is going to get offended.
Well, I agree with that,
So
Mancini.
I think he just went out and tried to help the House of Pain, but instead he hurt the House of Pain. They lost the belts because of Sergeant Murray.
Yes, they did.
And then they beat the hell out of Sergeant Murray, and now the fans hate the House of Pain.
Well, listen, the House of Pain has been a staple here, and to see what happened there and Sergeant Murray getting involved, he cost them the titles. The House of Pain turned on Sergeant Murray, but I want to know, with Al-Rahihi being around and the Pyramids of Power and Abdul Haq, did anybody go to the camel toe races? I mean, the camel jockey races. I'm just curious if anybody went to the camel toe races. But anyway, back to Retribution. Listen, House of Pain losing the tag team titles is huge for Paradise Alley.
And they were a little bit mad at Sergeant Murray after that match.
Well, the Sarge ended up defending his title, and he beat Showtime Marcel Williams to defend the United States Heavyweight Championship for Paradise Alley.
Yeah, House of Pain rightfully not happy with Sergeant Murray.
And neither is Showtime.
I wouldn't be happy. Well, obviously neither is Showtime, so they went in and they took care of the business they needed to with Sergeant Murray because he, as Mancini said, can't keep, out of other people's business.
Well, apparently not. Listen, Retribution was a huge success. I want to break down because we were fortunate that Holiday wasn't booked. The consumers were buzzing. The most marketable man was at Retribution. He had a Holidays in, and we discussed it earlier. Big Jym Anderson. Mancini, break down what you saw Big Jym Anderson to do, and then we're going to wrap it up here. Folks, it's on Twitter. It's unbelievable. Retribution was unbelievable.
Well, a rookie got a momentary rush of testicular fortitude.
Oh, excellent, man.
And he was actually at the concession stand, and he came out from behind the concession stand and challenged Richard Holiday.
Dumb mistake.
And he said he was the future of Paradise Alley and the next superstar. So,
did you see Holiday's blazer?
I did.
That was a nice blazer, Mancini. About $5,000 maybe for that blazer for Holiday?
For that.
He called out Big Jym Anderson, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Holiday said, I am not going to wrestle you. But I know who will. And here comes out 6'2", 310 pounds of Big Jym Anderson, whose arms look like a normal person's leg.
Let me just tell you something. Big Jym was in tremendous shape. He's been out due to injury. This was his return.
This was his return, and he pummeled him within 20 seconds, including one of the most devastating clotheslines I've ever seen.
And that's coming from a veteran like you who was in the World Wrestling Federation, World Wrestling Entertainment.
Professional wrestling
unbelievable
history.
Listen, I'm going to talk about legendary people who threw unbelievable clotheslines. The Road Warriors, JBL, Stan the Lariat Hansen, who broke Bruno Sammartino's neck back in the day. But Big Jym Anderson threw a clothesline. Fans, that you go to ParadiseAlleyProfessionalWrestling.com, go to the Twitter accounts of Matt Degnan or the Guardian of C1, and you'll see this. It's gone viral. Even Richard Holiday commented on it. So fans, We're going to wrap this up. We're well over an hour. I just want to briefly throw out February 8th, the 1-year anniversary for Friday Night Alley Fights. The main event is going to be for the first ever Friday Night Alley Fights heavyweight championship between the man with the best brows in the business, Ty Shine, against All Hail the King, Nutrius X. 1-year anniversary for Friday Night Alley Fights, February 8th. Mancini, Perez, how far are we? Holy.
Ladies and gentlemen,
110.
don't forget to check out Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling. February 23rd for the East Haven Youth Hockey Team at Joseph A. Malillo Middle School. Do not forget to check out, if you want the real skinny on the wrestling back in the 80s, you want to check out Paul Roma's shoot video.
Glorified. Mancini, it's unbelievable for only $9.99. Let me just tell you something. Listen, not only does Roma have his hands full when he goes to the bathroom, you listen to Glorified and you will have your hands full. Can I just say Stitcher? I just want to say Stitcher. I like that word.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week here on Mario, Chaos, and the Kid at some point, because Mr. Mancini has some meetings. But I'm sure some way, somehow next week you'll hear from us. Have a good night.
Maybe we can go live from Bangkok.
This whole wide world, I never find me a girl who love me the way that you do. 'Cause you Shama Lama in the Lama Lama ding dong, baby. You put the ooh mama smile, child. Hey, that is why you are my sugar daddy. You put the Shama-Lama, baby, ding dong. Hey, you put the ooh mama into my smile, child. Sugar daddy, and our love, this love we share.